morning, Moray Rabotai. Be'ez Hashem, Mincha is going to be 4:35. Please be on time. As we were mentioning yesterday, the Halacha, that although the Chachamim prohibited to do medicines for a person who's not in the category of being sick, we did bring down that Rav Ovadia brings the Be'er Moshe, who brings down the Rabbi Yonatan Shtaif, that holds that when it comes to taking aspirin, it is permitted to take aspirin for a headache. If a person is very bothered by it, he's allowed to take aspirin because it's considered to be not a medicinal food. It's considered to be something that you typically have in the house. Sometimes people take it in general, and therefore it is not considered to be a medicine, and one is able to be lenient. It's a big chidush. It's not something that's is a novelty. I was asked by some people, why aspirin specifically? And the answer is there is no specific reason why it's aspirin. Ovadia happened to write in Hazon Ovadia aspirin, but I saw in Sefer Refuat Yisrael it applies Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, Acamol, all of these various things that a person keeps very much in his home for these purposes of headaches, because it's normal. People also take Advil, people also take Tylenol, and therefore all of those would be included, and one would be allowed to take it for example, for a headache that he has. It would, Chacham Ovadia would hold that would be mutar to do. In the general sense of things, I was also asked a different question. What happens if the Chachamim prohibit you from taking medicines in general when a person is not in the category of sick? What happens to Oneg Shabbat? Doesn't that have an effect on a person's Oneg Shabbat? So it's a very important concept, and it's very important to understand that Oneg Shabbat does not have the capability of overriding even a single prohibition in the Torah and in the institutions of Chachamim. Oneg means the enjoyment. Shabbat of Shabbat. So first there has to be Shabbat and then Oneg. If a person doesn't have the Shabbat element fulfilled, which means all of the Torah halachot and all of the rabbinic halachot, you cannot start talking about Oneg. So for example, if a person has Oneg Shabbat from playing with his phone, it doesn't mean that he's allowed to do that on Shabbat, because there's a violation. There has to be Shabbat first and then Oneg second. So here too, when it comes to the general prohibition of medicine, it's true, he's not going to be able to say, enjoy the Shabbat as if he took the medicine, but it's the preservation of Shabbat. And therefore, Oneg Shabbat has no capability and no speech to override a prohibition that Chachamim institute. And this is a concept that applies throughout Ilchot Shabbat. The person must remember, the Shabbat element comes first, and then within Shabbat, there's a concept of Oneg Shabbat. But to go ahead and to use Oneg Shabbat to permit outside of what the halachot are, meaning a person didn't make food. He says, Oneg Shabbat, I could be able to make food, I should cook food in order for me to enjoy Shabbat. I'm going to sit there eating dry bread. No, that does not allow for any violation of halacha. Oneg Shabbat does not factor into that. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.